Hey, how you doing? It's your boy Brogi Naric back again with another episode of Brogi Naric on films. And in this video, I'm going to be giving my review of Netflix's The Devil All the Time, which drops on this Wednesday. And this is a movie that I was not expecting. The trailer came out months ago, and it has a very impressive cast. Robert Pattinson, Tom Holland, Bill Skarsgård, just to name a few. And I was intrigued, and COVID, so it's on. I decided to check it out, and I wasn't disappointed. This is a very interesting and odd film, and this movie was directed by Antonio Campos, and it's rated R, which it deserves that rating. But before I get into it, don't forget to give this video a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. They help us grow, still growing, and thanks for doing that. So, The Devil All the Time is based on a novel that was published in 2011. Never heard of the book, but it's a book. Apparently, it's very good, and this adaptation is really good. I don't know how accurate it is to the book, but the story is really good. It focuses on this young kid. Well, it's set in the past, like in the early the 50s to the mid 60s. And it focuses on this kid who has this rough life. He's an orphan, and certain events involving his parents has changed his viewpoint on life, specifically revolving around religion. And the movie it's an interconnected story focusing on these various people from this area of America. It's the southern Ohio and West Virginia, in this general area. These different people, their lives interconnect in these weird and really fucked up ways. And this movie is mainly a thriller, but it has horror elements, but it's definitely I would call it more of a thriller. And it's a weird film. I was not expecting it to be as weird as it was, but it's a good, dark, gritty American tale in a way. So I would have to say this movie was well directed, and the material is really good. This movie, the way it's told, it has a narrator. It's told like a story. It has a narrator. And surprisingly, the guy who wrote the book actually narrates this movie. So that was cool. I wasn't sure who that was. It sounds like Sam Elliott, the way the guy sounds. But it's actually the writer of the book, so that was cool. And so I'm going to get into this crazy cast. Our main character is Arvin Russell, played by Tom Holland. And like I said, he's this young kid who's an orphan. And Tom Holland's great. I've mainly seen him in the MCU, so it was cool to see him in a role where he's not in the MCU. And he's a really good actor. And this is one of the few times in this role where I was like, I could take him as like a badass, kind of tough guy, because he's a scrappy guy in this movie. But he doesn't take no shit from anyone. That was the lesson he learned from his dad. One of the few lessons he learned from his dad before he became an orphan. And he's our main focus, and he wants things to be right. He knows right from wrong. And like I said, because of his upbringing, he has certain feelings about religion. And he's growing up with his grandmother, who is a very religious person, and his stepsister, who is also another religious person, who is also an orphan. And there's some darkness in her origins as well. And the story is told at the beginning through his father, who is played by Bill Skarsgård, named Willard Russell, who is a World War II vet. He fought in the South Pacific. He comes back home, comes back to visit his family in West Virginia, his mom and his uncle, and then he goes up to Ohio for a while, and he meets the woman who will eventually become his wife. And he's in love with this woman. They have a kid, which is Tom Holland's character. And there's a tragedy that happens with the family, and he is just devastated. He does not know what to do, and he after some trauma he had, PTSD during the war, he tries to rely on his religion, and he has his own specific ways of dealing with that, and it leads to tragedy. Once again, Tom Holland's character Russell is an orphan, so Bill Skarsgård does good in this film. And then we have Elijah Scanlon. I'm not familiar with this actress. She plays Lenora Lafferty, who is Tom Holland's stepsister. and she's this girl. She's very religious, just like her mother was, and she ends up in a situation. I'm not gonna get into it, but she's a very kind character. Her and Russell are very close because, like I said, they're both orphans and they go through things. They both look out for each other. And her mother Helen was played by Mia Wasikowska, who was this woman who was raised by Bill Skarsgård's character's mom. Her mom died, I think her parents died in a fire, so she was this lonely girl who was raised by her. The grandmother was trying to get Bill Skarsgård's character and her to become a couple. Didn't work out that way. She ended up falling for this other guy who is actually played by the villain from Netflix's Old Guard. And he's this crazy preacher guy, evangelist preacher guy, him and his brother. And their relationship goes down a dark path. Like I said, this is a very fucked up movie in a way. Very dark, very gritty. Sebastian Stan is in this film. He plays Lee Bodecker, who is at the beginning, he's this younger guy who's a sheriff, and he's a cop. He becomes a sheriff, and he's worried about his political career and his appearance because he has a dark side to him. He's a corrupt cop or a corrupt sheriff, and when we get to the main story, when Tom Holland's there, he's worried about his election, and he has his sister, who is played by Riley Keough, I think is her name, and her husband, who is played by Jason Clarke. Her past she's got her own dirt. Her and her husband have their own dirt, and that kind of affects him because he tries to keep his record as clean as he can, even though most people in the area know he's a dirty cop. And the stuff going on with Jason Clarke and her is really messed up. I'm not going to get too deep into it, but the best way I can say it is Jason Clarke is a photographer. She's his pretty wife, and he's a super cuck. He's a dangerous cuck. I'll just leave it at that. So yeah, but they're good. He's good in his role playing a grimy scum. Everyone's pretty much a scumbag in this, except for Holland, the girl who plays his sister, his uncle, and his grandmother. And I guess the mom definitely, but I guess, and the two moms, and I guess Willard Skarsgård is not a scumbag. He does something fucked up, but he's not necessarily a scumbag. But one of the big scumbags in this film is Pastor Preston Tiergarten? Yeah, Pastor Preston Tiergarten, who is played by Robert Pattinson. Just an awful person. But he's this he's this new hip sort of pastor that comes into town, and he takes over Tom Holland's grandmother's church, and he's just an asshole. He's this young cocky guy. All the girls love him. He's very flashy. He has that evangelicalness of him that if he was on TV, he would really stand out. And he's just an awful person. And he comes into conflict with Tom Holland's character. There's some actions that he does that basically puts him on Tom Holland's shit list. And the way that was resolved was very interesting. Like I said, this is a very good film. I do have a few negatives. One negative for me personally, one negative that might bother other people. The first negative would be if you're a religious person or you're a Christian, the way that Christianity is somewhat depicted in this film might bother you. Now, this movie is not, this story isn't saying Christianity is bad. It's just the people that it focuses on uses or relies on Christianity to kind of justify their horrible actions, or their misguided interpretation of Christianity controls their misguided judgment, whether that's, using the Bible as a justification for murder or infidelity or sacrificing an animal in order to save someone else's life, which I'm pretty sure is in the Bible. So, like I said, certain characters' interpretations don't take it as just Christianity back. That's not exactly what the story is saying. It's just these certain people fall under that marker, that light. One of the negatives for me personally is Robert Pattinson. His southern accent is trash. It is not good. He's a good actor. He can play a scumbag. He plays a big scumbag in this. This is the second movie I've seen because I've been trying to watch some of his movies. Because, he's playing the Batman and everyone's like, oh, he's such a great actor. I'm trying to watch some of his stuff. This is the second time I've seen him in a movie where he plays a scumbag. And for some reason, slight spoiler, it involves him and minors. And it's just a weird thing, but I just thought it was weird that happened again in this film. But his southern accent is trash. There's one moment where it's very dramatic between him and Tom Holland, and it kind of took me out of the scene because of his southern accent. It's just not good. It's just not good. He is no Daniel Craig. Oh man, delusions. So yeah, I enjoyed this film. The way the story is told through the narrator and it kind of jumps through time is very good. The graphicness of it is very good. It does stand out. This is a very adult film. Not super bloody, but there is, blood and stuff. There is some good action. Like I said, there's some scenes in this where Tom Holland comes off as a real badass. He does fuck some people up. Not just like, I'm not necessarily saying killing. I mean, he does beat some ass. He's the pull-up king in this movie. He pulled the fuck up on some people in this film. So yeah, I enjoyed this. I enjoyed this. It's about close to 2.5. It's like 2 hours and 15 minutes. It's a decent runtime. The story is good. The acting is very good. Like I said, my only real negative is just Robert Pattinson's southern accent. One of the funny things about this film, though, is it takes place in the Midwest of America, and majority of the cast are like non-Americans and Europeans. Some of the accents are good. Some of the accents aren't. I think Tom Holland's is good. Bill Skarsgård's is fine. But some of the other accents are either too cartoonish or good cartoonish. Robert Pattinson was neither. So, with all that being said, if I were to give this film a grade, I'd give it a B or an 8.5 out of 10. It's a very good movie. If you're into something dark and gritty and kind of a thriller, it's worth watching. I would say check it out. Not bad. It's probably going to be on my top 10 list, judging how things are going with this whole pandemic thing. But let me know what you thought about the film in the comments. If you liked the video, let me know. Thanks for watching this, and stay tuned for more videos. Peace.
Finish this thought. I am a slave to
the booty.